an original MCM production.
At this time, we will turn to our program and our very special focus for today. And I'm going to kick that off by calling on Jeff Fleming, who is the president of Kingston Crossing and the chair of our Rotary Person of the Year committee. Jeff?
Great. Thank you, President Nancy. Each year, this club confers the Rotary Person of the Year award to an individual who has accomplished remarkable things in her or his profession. This is the club's highest honor. This award does not honor heroics, although I'm confident today's recipient is both brave and noble. It does not honor philanthropy, although I'm certain that our winner is both generous and kind. What sets the Rotary Person of the Year award apart is the unique focus on professional accomplishments. The task assigned to the Rotary Person of the Year committee is to vet a remarkable array of nominations, numerous accomplished and notable individuals, and select one person for the award. As a guide, we use several standards, including that we apply to the winner, including that the winner's, through his or her profession, has made the community a better place to live and work, and has shown outstanding leadership in the advancement of ideas, products, or services. This year's award recipient, Bob Hillis, hits those standards far out of the ballpark. The founder, president, and CEO of Direct Supply is a remarkable business leader. Bob Hillis is a pioneer in virtual distribution and an enthusiastic entrepreneur. Direct Supply was founded in Milwaukee more than 30 years ago and has grown to be the leading provider of equipment, e-commerce, and service solutions for senior living. The company helps build and improve operations at senior living communities across the country. It is an employee-owned company with a headquarters on Milwaukee's northwest side where more than 1,000 people work. I have visited Direct Supply, and it has the feel you'd expect of Apple or Alphabet or Amazon. They may sell furnishing and equipment to senior communities, but there's no warehouse. There are no order takers writing on sales slips. This is a technology company. Bob attributes some of his accomplishments to luck and hard work, but a significant portion of Direct Supply's success is a result of a strong commitment to the company's values, and I'll leave it to Bob in a moment to share some of those with us. Through his profession, Bob Hillis has made Milwaukee's community a better place to live and work. As a virtual distributor and technology provider, Direct Supply could be located anywhere. Bob is making sure the company's future and its planned growth is in Milwaukee. It's my pleasure now to hand the podium over to Nancy for the award presentation.
Thank you. I'm going to call Bob up to the stage here. Bob, it is my distinct pleasure to provide you with the Rotary Person of the Year Award for 2017. You are so deserving of this award, and we're so pleased to have you here and as part of our greater Milwaukee community. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Jeff, and thanks to all of you for having me here today. As all of you who run companies know, the wrong person is up here. It's really the people who work for us who do such an incredible job in all of the service that we provide to our customers. And I think that's the rule for every business in America. You know, how well do we attract and groom great people to really be on the front lines of our business? And I also want to say that in receiving this award, I've learned quite a bit in the last few days about Rotary, and I want to congratulate you for the unbelievable work that you have done. I'd mentioned to Jeff that I think the last time I was at a Rotary meeting was 35 years ago when I worked for Oscar Mayer, and I spoke to a group in Madison, and I was equally impressed there at the tremendous work that this organization does globally. So the great trip to Guatemala, the polio contributions are the tip of the tiny iceberg of the wonderful stuff that you all do. You know, our company is almost a silent company. We don't give interviews. We very rarely talk about what our company does in the public. And the last time I gave a speech in Milwaukee, it was about 10 years ago at BizStarts. And I thought today it might be fun to give you a little inside look into what we as a company do in hopes that there will be a few things that you can garner as takeaways to take back to whatever you're working on that might be a new trick. So I want to start with where practically everybody starts a speech about a company, about the principles. But in our particular case, these were written before we started the company, and they're a little unusual in that the first principle was to treat all of our employees as partners. Little did our company know that once we paid our founding investor back, Bob Friedman, who was my father-in-law and my wife's father, we gave the company away to the employees and started down a long path of our employees all becoming shareholders in the company. Today, every single employee in Direct Supply is a shareholder, and a shareholder in the full sense of the word. And we believe that that sets the stage for something very different. The order of the first and second principles, provide outrageous customer service, is the second. The thing that is interesting about that is, yes, we do put our people before our customers. And I remember speaking at a national convention, 2,000 customers in the room in 1989, and they asked me, could you say one thing that would distinguish your company from most other companies in the field? And I looked at all these customers and I said, well, I just want you to know you're number 2 in our business. People were shocked. I wish they would have all laughed like you just did. But many of them looked at us like, man, is this guy crazy? The fact of the matter was, we wanted to achieve outrageous customer service. And by outrageous customer service, and we worked on that adjective for 2 weeks. You know, what was the adjective to customer service going to be? Was it going to be great, world-class, fantastic, good, mediocre? And the bottom line was we stumbled upon the word outrageous. And someone said, what does outrageous mean? And I said, it means you do things with your customers that take their breath away, that have them say, I can't believe what they just did. And if there were one thing that I think has great take-home value to every one of us that's in business or public service, it's how can we make the people that we're serving take their breath away because it's done so well, or it's so special, or it's so exceptional. And all of us remember those moments that have happened to us by people serving us. I still remember the airline attendant when we had our 2 little babies on the plane and one's crying. She just picks the baby up and walks him up and down the aisle until little Bobby fell asleep. You remember that. that takes your breath away. You say, wow. And that is the most important thing, I think, that has really led to the growth of our business. And I don't want to go through all of these, but I want to tell you what's at the bottom. Be the industry leader in return on investment. We still haven't hit that after 32 years of trying, and I'll tell you why. Money is not what it's all cracked up to be. And so we think there's a lot in life that has to be done before you try to maximize profits. As a private company, we are the luckiest people in the world because I always say I would be the first CEO in the United States fired the day after we went public. And so we pay more attention to sort of getting the job done. These people are the 3.2 million people that we help our customers take care of. 3.2 million seniors living in congregate care, skilled nursing, assisted living, independent living, continuing care retirement centers, transitional care, and the average age of these people today is 85.4 years. And the 10 people in this picture are real people that we sent people into facilities to get their picture because these people are on our computers, they're on posters in our company, because we try to remember every day that the customer is not some imaginary thing. The customer is a real person that has really important needs. And so senior living is the only thing we do. Interestingly enough, when we started the company in 1985, I wrote a 25-year business plan. And the 25-year business plan was entitled The Warm-Up. Why the warm-up? There weren't going to be any baby boomers in the first 25 years we were in business. I thought they would start in about year 27. Well, here we are in year 32, and we're still 6 or 7 years away. And so the big show for Direct Supply will come long after I'm gone from running it. And I'm really excited because we have a lot of people in our company in the second and third generations that are coming along that we hired long ago that are going to be prepared to do this. So what is it we really do? We do three things. We help our customers build senior living buildings. We help equip them with everything from the front door to the back door. And we help them run them. And I'll just give you a little insight into what that is. We have a company called Aptura, and Meredith Eckel, one of your guests today, is one of our designers, and she was involved with this project done in Indiana. This is the inside of a transitional care facility built by a company called Main Street. When we started in this business in 1985, one of our greatest inspirations was when I would go around the country and I would walk into nursing homes. They would have concrete block walls for bedrooms, and there would be 3 or 4 patients in a room separated by a curtain, living in the worst possible conditions you can imagine. And we said in 1986, we are going to change the way seniors are cared for in America. And this project won a giant award in 2014. Meredith designed it, and it won the senior living building in the United States that was opened. And this has been one of the things that we're the most proud of, is that we have changed seniors from living in what I consider to be prison cells to living in places where they can age much more gracefully and actually live. I never go to a city that whoever's with me, I don't pull over the first time I see a senior living building, and I go in, and I still find some of these old ones not quite as bad as I described. In some cities in the poorer areas, in lots of the rural areas of America. And we try to see how we can get those people on a track to upgrading those facilities. This is pretty exciting. We're building 200 of these around the United States right now that will hold about 100 people on average. It's a very different world for senior living today than it was when we started in 1985. The only thing that existed was skilled nursing. Today, there are far more assisted living and independent living congregate spaces in the United States than nursing homes. The number of nursing homes has declined dramatically by over 46% in the time that we've been in business. But the explosion has been in senior care where people really want to live. I used to say, by the time I have to go there, I want to make sure they're going to have a bar. And that elicited everybody laughing because that was the most preposterous thing in the world in 1986. We have not built a building in 5 years that doesn't have a wine bar, a saloon, something in it. So there's hope. If I have to go, I'm ready. Our original business was our product business. We talked about, we build these places, okay, now you've got an empty shell. What do you have to fill it up with? You got to fill it up with medical equipment. You got to fill it up with therapy equipment. You have to fill it up with dishes and dishwashers and stoves and ovens. And so long ago, we said, if it goes inside a senior living facility, we're going to sell this. Jeff mentioned to you this was done on a virtual basis. When we developed this concept in 1985, it was really an Amazon-type concept. Unfortunately, I wasn't a tenth as smart as Jeff Bezos, but it was to provide each individual facility with all the custom stuff that it needed in it. And there was no way to stock this. There was no way it was all going to be custom design. And so today, we supply over 1 million products. When we open a new senior living facility, everything from the china on the table to the vital signs monitors will be from Direct Supply. And 26% of that stuff is virtually manufactured in 1,400 places around the world in a virtual manufacturing company that we started now almost 20 years ago. We like the virtual distribution business so much, we decided to start virtual manufacturing, and we started buying plant capacity where we owned the intellectual property, and we built these products all around the world. Recently, our supply chain has extended so far. We have the largest healthcare furniture company in the world to be able to provide for healthcare facilities, a company called Maxwell Thomas. And that product, we buy the raw beech wood in Hungary, cut the trees down, send the wood to Canada, build the wood chairs, tables, and parts so that we can assemble a chair specifically for a customer in 24 hours, one of over 1 million different kinds of combinations. So a customer can select their arms, the legs, the fabric, all of these different factors, and it goes into a big MRP instruction process, and it's assembled at a factory in Canada, and it's shipped 24 hours later. And that is a really hard feat. When people say we're a technology company, it's because we don't have any inventory, we don't have any warehouses, we don't have any manufacturing plants, and essentially what we've been doing is building technology supply chains over the last 32 years. The last thing is this is a design center we have. We'd love to have any of you come visit, but our technology platforms, we have a platform called TELS. It's a application resides on your iPhone or your Android device, and it tracks all of our equipment through IoT that are in your buildings. We're building more and more equipment that is on the Internet of Things, so that today a maintenance man in a nursing home can be walking down the hallway and receive a notification on their iPhone that the rooftop air conditioner is malfunctioning. It'll tell them how to fix it, or if they don't know how to fix it, we have almost 6,900 technicians around the United States that can be summoned just like an Uber app from pushing on their iPhone or their Android device, I need a technician. It shows the technician coming to their place. The technician comes in, has all the information about the piece of equipment, repairs the piece of equipment, or replaces the piece of equipment. And guess who they buy that equipment from? All of these different pieces, whether it's design or service repair, lead back to the core business in our company, which is selling equipment to senior living. So we sort of say to our customers, it's a cradle to grave experience. Interestingly about that, we offered, starting in 1998, a lifetime guarantee on satisfaction for every piece of equipment that we have. So if our equipment, being followed with our maintenance instructions, does not outlast the lifetime span of the equipment, we either replace it or repair it for free for our customers. We think that that has had a lot to do, this sort of lifetime satisfaction guarantee, with the very high retention rate that we have for customers. There are 32,000 senior living buildings in the United States, and 30,000 of them buy equipment from Direct Supply. Now, don't get me wrong, they don't buy all their equipment from Direct Supply. We still have a reasonably small market share compared to where we think we can grow. So this customer satisfaction issue is one that we really take very, very seriously. Our other e-commerce solution is we introduced the first cloud-based e-commerce system in the United States for healthcare in 1994. No one really knew what the internet was. Nobody really understood what cloud-based computing was. And that individual system today, in the time that we're having lunch here, it'll handle 12,000 shipments to senior living facilities around the United States in everything from the food they eat, to the medicines they take, to office supplies, to all of the equipment Direct Supply sells. It's a $5.8 billion ecosystem that allows customers to aggregate all their purchasing. And so those are the three things we do as a company. But we're doing something that I think is more exciting almost than all that added up together. We are in the process of renovating the German English Academy on the campus of the Milwaukee School of Engineering to become the premier senior living innovation and technology center in the United States. We have about 120 people down there right now, and this is a true experiment. It's a really unique model. We've had a strategic partnership with MSOE for 31 years because we hire so many of their computer and software engineers. And so we have a deal with the Milwaukee School of Engineering where we're renovating that building, and we are trying to create creative, innovative fusion down there. And so we're doing something that's a little off the wall. First of all, we're trying to bring together all of these different components: professors, interns, students, graduates, engineers, startups, incubators, experimental laboratories, and put all of this together to bring people from all over the world, actually. We're bringing a company right now from Hungary to the center, and we raise money to bring this startup that is a very interesting senior living startup. and we charge them nothing. They get to come and do their work for free. Everyone who's working there, if they're not a startup or an incubator, is paid by Direct Supply. And we have some very, very interesting projects going on down there. Some of the most far out in the areas of artificial intelligence are social robotics. We're working with a company to be able to deliver an artificial enabled robot that is a desktop robot that can sit in a senior living apartment and in a very short period of time, like 7 or 8 days, be absolutely trained to be able to remind that senior when it's time to take medicine, when it's time to schedule an appointment for a doctor, carry on a conversation, call a member of the family if they need help, and a whole number of other issues. And we hope to be able to sell that for $800. And we believe that it's the invention of this kind of stuff that can ultimately get to changing the cost curve for seniors. Seniors are more capable than ever before. You know, one of the reasons for this gap of them not showing up to Direct Supply so soon was that the lifespan in the United States for middle class and above seniors has been increasing in the last 11 years at the rate of 3 months a year. So every 4 years, the lifespan is going up another year. And we're attributing this not to technology. We're not attributing this to better health care. We're attributing this to the awakening that people have had about taking care of their health and the involvement that of personal responsibility that this generation of seniors is taking better care of their health than ever before in a preventative maintenance way. And so we believe if we can pile on the technology, there is a chance that we could move this to a 4-month increase or a 5-month increase for every year. And so when you're hearing the stories of, well, 70's the old 60, we think it's not long before we'll be saying 80 is the old 60. And that's a great comfort to a guy of my age. And so, I mean, we're really intent on this. So this Innovation and Technology Center, we hope to have fully up and operating. We have 2 of the 5 floors operating in another 16 to 18 months. And it will have lots of public elements to it. We're going to be teaching 4 classes of engineering over there for the Milwaukee School of Engineering. We have got lots of people in and out. There will be public places inside the building. And so I'm going to encourage all of you to come visit us when we get the thing open. And to show you how it looks, this gives you an idea. It is really a very cool building. By the way, that scoreboard is the actual scoreboard from Milwaukee Stadium from 1936 to 1962. So it's a fun place. 2 things that you might take away that have been part of our culture from the very beginning. It's what we call the upside-down triangle. It was invented by a guy by the name of Jan Carlson 44 years ago, the president of Scandinavian Airlines. And he turned his organization upside down and said, the customers are at the top, and all of the people talking to the customers are at the top on our side of the fence. And he made every single vice president at Scandinavian Airlines get out and go to work behind the counter and talk to customers. He had 17 vice presidents. 8 quit in the first month. And this became a legend. We picked this up from the beginning of our company so that we tell our frontline people today, if you need to see the president of the company because of a customer problem, you interrupt the board meeting. And those are the rules, and we live by them pretty well. We think it makes a big difference. And the last things is we're in the service of seniors. And so we put service first. Sales, we believe, come if you give great service. And then we believe profits come. And so we embark on a lot of long-range projects that are 7 or 10 years before we make money on those projects. Because we believe that if we deliver the kind of service that our customers and America's seniors want, that people will come back to our company. And we believe so strongly in that. Every sales problem we've ever had has been a service problem. Because if we deliver the right kind of service, we are confident that our sales will continue to increase just as they have every year but one in the last 32 years. And so the final magic touch, I think, is our employee-owned culture. It's fantastic that every single employee owns stock. We believe owners act differently. I say they pick up the trash in the parking lot. And owners act differently. They change the complexion of the company. And last but not least, that's what we all see every day when we turn on our computers at Direct Supply. We're actually not so encouraged about increasing the lifespan of seniors, but what we're encouraged is increasing the health span. And that means how good can they be until the very end? How much quality of life can we put in through technology so that they can have a better life in the time that they're in our facilities? And so that's the Direct Supply story. We don't think it will change much over the next 20 years because we have so much more work to do. So once again, I want to thank you all for having me here. It's been a real pleasure. I'm in awe of all the great work that you're doing. I have 7 or 8 minutes to take any questions if anyone would like to ask any. Is that the right word? Thank you. Thank you, thank you. George.
Bob, when you walk into a nursing home or senior living center, what do you look for? What do you see the differentiator between those that people are really happy and those that?
Well, the first place I go, everybody goes to look at the building or talk to the staff, but the first place I go is the residents. I go knock on a resident's door and I say, hey, can I come in and talk to you? And I ask the question, how's it going here? What do you like? What do you don't like? And they really tell you, but I'm so overwhelmed by these experiences because when I walk in the room and I'm talking to a 90-year-old lady and I look on the wall and I see these pictures and I go, oh my gosh, these pictures are fascinating. Well, I was the superintendent of schools in Gary, Indiana. Oh, you were? And who's this guy in the uniform? Well, that was my husband. My husband was a colonel in the Army, fought in World War II, and here he won the Silver Star, and every one of these 3.2 million people have an unbelievable story. And so you just say, what can we do to make your life better when you're here? And the people who are taking care of those customers, Direct Supply doesn't take care of those 3.2 million people, but our customers are the people who do. And we need to enable them with all of the tools so that they can do it better. Please.
You mentioned that you used to work with Oscar Mayer. I was wondering what got you interested in improving the lot to seniors?
Well, about 2 years after I was at Oscar Mayer, I got assigned to a pharmaceutical company that they owned. And you say, why? Well, Oscar Mayer owned a pharmaceutical company. Well, the animal byproducts made heparin and pancreatin and all. Most of our drugs at the time that I got out of graduate school were either made from botanicals or from animal byproducts. And so they were slaughtering all these animals. We had these byproducts, and we started a pretty big pharmaceutical company. And the minute that I got into healthcare, I just fell in love with it. I had no training in healthcare, but so when I started Direct Supply, I wanted it to be a healthcare company. Yes, ma'am.
When you showed the slide of your new innovation building at MSOE, there was one section in there that said passive fall protection. What is that?
Passive fall protection was the question. Well, as many of you know who have had older parents, that falls are the number one killer in elderly because they often end up in the hospital, and by the time they come home, they don't last very long. They go back into the hospital, readmissions. And so we are looking at technology, floors that can feel, and visual recognition, being able to look with ultrasound at the gait that a senior has, and we're trying to be able to develop algorithms to be able to tell when the patient is going to fall beforehand so that we can create innovation, get them on a walker, get them on a cane, etc., so that we can reduce the chance of the fall. Yes, sir.
What do you attribute your ability to run a company as you have? I mean, where did you get your inspiration to be that kind of innovative manager, leader, entrepreneur? Secondly, give us a couple homes, senior living in the Milwaukee area that we could look at or go see.
Well, let me answer the first question first, and that is, my first mentor I got when I was 14 years old. It was Tony Holman that owned the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I went to work at Oscar Mayer, and I got lucky enough to end up working for Harold Meyer, and he became a mentor. I married my wife, Jenny, who's here, by the way, today. Jenny, I want to say there would be no Direct Supply without you. Everybody in the room knows that it's their spouse that gives them the power and the push and the consoling and listens to the belly aching when you start a new business. And it's really true. There would be no Direct Supply without Jenny Hillis. And so I'm really glad you're here. And I've continued that mentorship, and they've always been people a lot older. Today, my oldest mentor is Michael Cudahy, who's been a mentor of mine here for 40 years, and I still have lunch with him once a month, and when I have lunch with him, I try an idea on him, and he looks at me and goes, "Are you that dumb? Just don't do that. That's a bad idea." And I think nobody comes to this alone. I mean, it's constantly the support groups we have and the people that are around us. And we have a lot of great senior living in Milwaukee. If you got some specific questions about a relative or somebody, come see me and I'll tell you where I think they should go. But I probably don't want to do that publicly.
It's my impression that the number of facilities that are addressing memory care or those with dementia and Alzheimer's is increasing. I'm curious what the Direct Supply is doing to address those needs.
You're exactly right. Over the last 15 years, the number of memory care units that we've built in the United States is staggering. And it's continuing to go up. As we all know, dementia and Alzheimer's disease is, the robber of life of our families and our friends that are aging. And it requires an entirely different set of tools to deal with them. I remember 15 years ago, we started selling these memory care boxes that went outside the rooms or apartments of people who were getting dementia. And what we put in those boxes were their 8 or 10 favorite things. And that's how they recognized their room. And it seemed like a really stupid idea at the time, but once we did it, nobody ever couldn't find their room again. And so we've probably got 150 innovations like that all the time. Now, what's the big stuff that we're trying to do right now? We have a team in Silicon Valley working on a virtual reality experience for a senior that relates directly to their background. So if you were born in Peoria, Illinois in 1932, we will make a virtual reality 12-minute movie, and this woman may not have spoken to anyone for 2 years. And we have experiences where we've put this virtual reality mask on, and it shows a picture of Peoria in 1932 and 35 and 37, where she went to school, and 6 or 7 minutes into it, she rips the virtual reality mask off and goes, "Oh, I've never seen anything like this in my life. That was fabulous." So we have, and we are not medical experts, but we have been doing work in virtual reality with the founder of virtual reality from Silicon Valley for a long time now. And we believe that just like physical therapy, exercise, keeps an elderly person able to be mobile and walk, we believe that the exercise of the brain and the stimulation of the cortex can cause this same effect, and we are actually witnessing it. We have no medical proof. We have no money to be Johnson & Johnson and attempt to do double-blind studies, but we are moving the science forward in how do you get seniors re-engaged. And so that's really something exciting about Alzheimer's. It would be great if we could figure out that all we ever had to do was stimulate somebody's brain. But you know, we've all seen friends of ours who've retired and stopped doing anything, and in 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years, they really look bad. Some of them are going out, some of them are very mobile, and we think inactivity of the brain is a contributor to premature aging. And so we're trying to investigate this. That's kind of exciting. We just opened last week a new virtual reality cave at Direct Supply where you walk into this room and you're surrounded with these special projectors so you feel like you're standing in the middle of whatever your environment is. And we're going to be bringing seniors in and setting them on chairs so it looks like they're walking down Main Street when they were a child, and just see what the effects are. Yes, sir.
Bob, I'm sure you have many insights into the funding issues for senior care. You got any thoughts on that?
Well, I spend about a third of my time in Washington, D.C. I lead the senior living industry group of suppliers and have for almost 20 years, and we raise a lot of money for public policy. And we've been working on both sides of the aisle for these 20 years, just like dogs, raising $12 million a year, doing research, handling public policy. And it's just a mess, and it's been a mess for the last 10 years. And the issue is most of the people who are having these discussions don't know a damn thing about health care or senior living or anything else, and therefore we are constantly in the education process. You all have seen a million times the healthcare curve that bankrupts the United States of America in 2040, and we have no money for anything. We can't even have an army because of healthcare costs and the way they've been rising. It's not that bleak. But we do have to do a lot of stuff very differently. Part of the problem has always been associated with those of us who've been insured by our companies. We've gone to the doctor and we've never received a bill. And nobody knows, there's no transparency. None of us actually know much about purchasing health care in a value-oriented way. And we are going to have to figure out how to get 1/5 of the United States economy living by the rules that the rest of us have to live by in the rest of the economy. And so I think it's going to be very challenging. I have, in the last 4 days, I talked to Nancy Pelosi and Paul Ryan on this same subject. And it is clear that everybody wants to find a solution, but nobody knows really what to do in terms of how can we get a bipartisan effort on this. So we sort of had a one-way Democratic effort with Obamacare, and now we got a one-way Republican effort with the Republicans, and I have friends on both sides of the aisle, and the answer, I think, will only be found when we put the patient at the center of the conversation, instead of the government, the doctors, the hospital. I mean, for God's sakes, we don't talk about the patient and what's best for that individual patient. It just really becomes a one-size-fits-all deal. I wish I had the answer. Still searching. Thank you all very much.
An MCM production.